myself and decided to have a baby and move forward with our relationship, but now she's breaking my heart. About a year ago this girl came into my life. We started as friends, going to the bars together, wingmanning for each other, talking almost every day. Keep in mind, she's married with 2 kids and still lives with the husband at his family's house. I'll spare some details because this would go on forever. But, at one point I realized I was catching feelings for her. I got near blackout drunk on a trip to my cousin's wedding and spilled out the feelings I had for her. Little did I know, she felt the same way. We had some flings here and there prior, but we were both toxic people, and of course with my luck I ended up falling for her. I get back from my trip and we are hanging out for hours on end, going on little dates, and things escalate to us talking about dating and her moving out from her husband's and us getting a place together. Skipping some more details, one day she tells me she's pregnant. This prompts at least 2 weeks of discussions and if we can even manage the mess of a relationship we have on top of a baby. Eventually, we came to the conclusion we want to go through with it. Start looking at houses, we have our first ultrasound, things are going in somewhat of the right direction. Well, recently, she's at 13 weeks, she starts distancing herself. Short replies, runs off and doesn't talk to me for hours, and it's safe to assume she's doing all these things with her husband because she doesn't have many friends here. I express my concerns and feelings and each time it's just I'm sorry and that's it. I hit a breaking point of feeling like an option and tell her I can't be with her as her partner, but I will be there for every ultrasound, appointment, big milestones, and provide whatever support I can, because even if she can't get her shit together, we still committed to this baby and I will do the best I can to give this kiddo as normal as a life possible. She finally comes out and tells me she never expressed her feelings about our situation because she's afraid to be alone. I work a 48/96 schedule for my job and also have class twice a week 9 to 5. This is something we talked about and she was ready to ride it out with me. But now, I can tell she's second guessing her commitment to this and it kills me inside. By now you're probably thinking you're a fucking idiot for even trying to make this work, buddy, and trust me, I know. But I love her, and as we all know, love makes you do some crazy things. There's more, but it's too much to get into. My question is, what the hell am I supposed to do? We share the blessing of a baby coming, but this dynamic isn't working for me or for her. Do I just ditch my feelings for her and all the hopes I had of a family and stay neutral and supportive for the baby's sake? Or do I hold on and just keep reminding her how much I love her and hope things get better? Because I'm lost and hurting and I can't deal with this on my mind anymore. Comment. How does the husband feel about all this? A baby that's not his? All that. If she has a husband, I'd get a DNA test on whose baby that is, first and foremost. It might not even be either of yours. First, you need to know if the baby is yours. Get a DNA test done. Find a good attorney and figure out your rights. Then find a good therapist to help you figure out what's best for you. I wouldn't be trying for a relationship with someone who cheated on her husband and who was going to potentially abandon her 2 children for a fling. But it's your life, so you'll have to decide what's best for you. So why is she not moving in now? She has no reason to be stalling in moving in with you and divorcing her husband, if it won't negatively affect custody or the marital assets. The only reason that she should be staying in the same home as her husband is if her divorce attorney tells her to. Don't sign anything into her name until you know for sure that she's not staying with him. Is she still married to her husband? And she has kids with him, correct? How do they figure into this vision you have of a family with her? Are you absolutely sure this baby she's carrying is yours? This whole thing sounds like a total mess. One you knowingly ran headfirst into, but seem upset to realize it's a mess. What is there to agree to? They couldn't have been married for very long. Probably don't have much in the way of marital assets to divide. Most importantly, he can't keep her in a marriage she desperately doesn't want. Think about that for a second. I'm getting the impression she's not as keen to divorce as you may believe. You went into this with both eyes open, so don't close them now. You're gonna need to protect your parental rights to that child if indeed it is yours. You can't rely on her to play happy family with you. Next story 2. My boyfriend cheated on me, but can't decide if I should break up or work it through. So me and my BF have been together for 5 years and have built an amazing relationship, and I trusted him with my eyes closed. Of course we had issues, it's not always pitch perfect in relationships, but we managed to work through them and be happy. He is so great with me, honestly a treasure of a man. Or at least I thought. He went out with some friends, One of them I don't like. For context, we have openly talked about it and he knows I'm not comfortable with him being alone with her, because I know she acts like a pick-me and constantly flirts with him. But they go out for the sake of the friend group, so I didn't mind when he told me that his best friend is going to be with. Throughout the night we texted about our whereabouts, etc. I was also out with my brother and a friend. At one point I told him I'd be going home and if he'd come with, we don't live together, but just to sleep over. Then things started becoming suspicious. He'd take long to text back and avoid answering certain questions. Next day I addressed the issue and he became avoidant, telling me he told me everything that happened eventually. I found out that he was left alone with her at some point because his best friend left. He told me that he didn't want to leave her alone at a club and she was refusing to go, so he stayed. I explained that I didn't think he was handling the situation with her in a way that is respectful to me and our relationship, which he understood. Long story short, after some time of not speaking, he told me he was extremely drunk and initiated a kiss with her. He explained that he was feeling trapped from our relationship and the expectations I had from it, and that he was doing things for me and our relationship and never for himself. And it built up inside him, leading him to do it. I do not excuse his action by any means, and I wish we had talked about it before it happened. He told me he didn't feel anything or get anything from it, he felt instant regret and he only did it because he was drunk and she was flirty. He took her home and left. I have so many questions, and I'm hurting so bad. I had so much faith in us and our relationship. I was sure he is the one. I was sure I'll build a future with him. Now I'm wondering, do I throw it all away because of his betrayal, or is it worth it to try to work this through? Is my judgment clouded because I love him so much? He doesn't want to break up. Next story 3. Do I leave my honeymoon? I don't know what to do about husband's drinking. My husband and I just got married and are on our honeymoon. However, his drinking has been over the top and this morning I think I hit my breaking point. After everything this morning I know I can't forgive him with just an apology and it will take time and action on his part. I don't want to leave our new marriage but I'm not sure what to do with the rest of our honeymoon. We have 9 days left in Europe together. What do I do? What would you do? He went out by himself last night and came back in the wee hours of the morning absolutely hammered. We had already been out to a late dinner with quite a bit of wine before he went out, and I was ready for bed after a day of traveling. I had asked him to stay in with me but he was hell-bent on continuing to drink. When he returned he was just nasty to me. Woke me up, turned on the tele and played music to keep me awake. When I asked him to be respectful of me wanting to sleep he went off. Got in my face, called me names, threw my phone against the wall, and was ragingly jealous over what seems like the fact that I had a dating history prior to our 7-year relationship. Please no comments on 7 years to propose, as marriage was not something that was important to either of us until recently. Context of it all was also odd. I left the room while he slept it off but upon returning I found myself not wanting to hear any of his apology. History: he is a binge drinker. He doesn't drink weekly but when he does there is never just one drink, it's a full-blown binge session that will last all night into sunrise. I vocalized my concern with this many times, suggested therapy or AA, but everyone, friends/family, tells him he doesn't have a problem since he isn't a daily drinker. Over the past year his mood has changed significantly when drinking. He's gotten more angry, jealous, and mean when drunk. He quit drinking for about 9 months, but now it's back with vengeance. I don't know what to do about the rest of our honeymoon. Do I send him home and stay by myself? Do I leave? Do I attempt to forgive and postpone working through it until we return home? I can't forgive him right now. I feel like his actions have tainted the memory of what I thought was going to be a beautiful time in our lives and it's going to take more than an apology for me to move forward. Comment: the fact that you think this is what people will focus on after describing a horrific scene of drunken abuse tells me that you have already normalized his behavior. I've also been in a relationship with an alcoholic with anger issues and have been in this exact scene, so I am not judging but reading echoes of a story I know all too well. Him getting angrier and meaner is the abuse escalating. It will continue to worsen as long as you put up with it. The only chance of anything changing is if he commits to quitting drinking entirely, and you already know he's not going to do that because you've discussed it multiple times. I suspect you're focused on the honeymoon because it's easier to laser in on a single situation than it is to admit to yourself that you're in an abusive relationship and need to get out, especially so soon after getting married. I would leave if possible and spend some time apart to contemplate what you want to do. At this point, if you want to try and salvage things, the only path forward is an ultimatum for him to start recovery. He has to want to stop drinking though, and that's not something you can do for him. Be aware as well that while alcohol may exacerbate his issues, generally the anger issues that come out while drinking are pre-existing and do not disappear when someone's sober unless they work on that in therapy as well. I wish you luck. My ex made all sorts of promises and unfortunately never followed through. I only left when he put his hands on me. I relate to all of this after my last relationship and want to also add that the people saying he can't be an alcoholic because he doesn't drink daily are A, completely wrong, and B, either unaware of his behavior in drink or are enabling him. I kept my ex's behavior quiet because when sober, he was lovely, creative, musical, extroverted, silly. People seemingly adored him and I didn't want to ruin that. Only one friend knew what was going on behind closed doors and she repeatedly tried to get me to leave. If his friends and family knew he did all of that, what would they say? Up. If you want to try and make it work, you need to leave him there and go home or even go to another hotel and try to enjoy the rest of your trip. When asked why, if you feel safe to do so, be honest. Tell him he went too far, tell his flying monkeys what happened. Give the ultimatum, sobriety, therapy, and effort. Give it a deadline. Stick to it. You deserve better. Exactly. So many binge drinkers just start binging more and more often, especially the older they get. But even if he doesn't start doing it more often, the fact that he's willing to ruin their honeymoon shows that he is absolutely an alcoholic and his drinking is out of control. She needs to go home and put up some healthy boundaries. Maybe get this marriage annulled and let him know that unless he gets into some treatment, the relationship needs to end for her own well-being.